This is That Guy Jig Sports Podcast. I am him, JIG. Subscribe, rate, and review Amazon, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out. And do not forget about the Instagram at That Guy Jig. But I've been saying it. I know I sound like a broken record, folks, but I'm trying to get you ready for the playoffs. Playoffs? Yes, playoffs. The NBA playoffs are right around the corner. It's slowly, picture it like you're going up over a hill. And just right when you're trying to get over that peak of the hill, you can see the town. And that's the town is called NBA playoffs. This is a town where 16 wins puts you amongst the greats, and I'm talking about in the pool of eternal life. You are a champion. You are a champion. Champions never die. And that's where we are, folks. We're almost there. Now, we got about 7, 8 games, depending on your team. There's some games tonight. There's some makeup game. We got the Warriors and the Mavericks. You know, there's games that have playoff implications. Some of these teams in the West, especially, we're not really talking about the East when we talk about a tight race. There's no such thing as a tight race in the East. And I really I find that funny because people will tell you the East is better than it's ever been. I find that hard to believe. I find that hard to believe when I look at the West and there's 3 teams with 50 wins. And there's 3 more teams with a possibility to have 50 wins. So once again, the West is still the juggernaut. The best is in the West. You know, it kind of seems like they're going to beat the hell out of each other before they come out of the West, and then the East should have an easy road. I mean, when we look at the Eastern Conference as a whole, Boston Celtics being 11.5 games up over the second place Milwaukee Bucks. That's very interesting. The Boston Celtics are a team that I'm very critical of because they shoot so many threes with not great three-point shooters. So I'm not really of the expectation of the Boston Celtics making it out of the East. If I had to give you 2 teams right now in the Eastern Conference, gun at my head, I would definitely say Milwaukee, maybe a healthy New York Knicks, but do not be surprised if Cleveland can figure something out. They're starting to get back healthy. Donovan Mitchell is back. That's a team when you have a guy like Donovan Mitchell that can go for an even 40 every game. That makes you a contender. Now, the Harlots makeup, if you don't know, that means you're a whore. That means you're fake. The pretenders of the group, the Atlanta Hawks, the Chicago Bulls, the 76ers are also a pretender. I hate to be so critical because Jig, Joel Embiid's been out. What do I say? Availability is the best ability. If you're not available for me, then what good are you? We watched the 76ers go from the 3rd, 4th seed all the way down to the 8th, 9th seed, possibly and they're definitely going to be in the play-in. Joel Embiid might come back. He might not. They're a game and a half out of the play-in. So, and that's a game and a half to the 7th seed. They still have to catch the Pacers, who are 2.5 games up. They have plenty of time to do it if Joel Embiid comes back. But at the same time, like I've been saying, do you want to push Joel Embiid back too soon? You're not competing for a championship. I don't care what the people say on ESPN. They are not a conference finals team. Listen, the Eastern Conference could very well come down, especially if the New York Knicks can get somewhat healthy. If they can get somewhat healthy, I could see a New York and a Miami finals, Eastern Conference finals. I can see a Milwaukee Bucks and a Miami Heat finals. It's going to come down for seeding on the East, man. It's just going to come down to matchups and seedings. Because depending on who the Boston Celtics play first round, depending on who they're playing coming out of this play-in, they might be looking at going home first round. The Miami Heat have no fear of the Boston Celtics. They do not fear them. They don't care what they do because they know they can stop it and they can do what needs to be done. Bam Adebayo can take care of a Kristaps Porzingis if he needs to. I don't think people understand how talented of a player Bam is. A little bit undersized for a post player, but in today's NBA, with its air quotations positionless, he has a chance. I put it to you like this. Bam can shut down Porzingis. Porzingis cannot shut down Bam. I think I've said this before. I think the Golden State Warriors had the perfect plan. Make Jaylen Brown beat you. He can't beat you. We're talking 7 games here, folks. We're not talking about one game where he has 40, 50 points and he says, oh, I like that strategy. Play it again. Play it again. Listen to Jig. Play it again. Make Jaylen Brown beat you. Take away Tatum, which is going to be hard to do in itself, but make it tough on Tatum. Make it tough on Porzingis. Make it tough on everybody else. Pat Riley used to do this same thing. Greg Popovich did this same thing to Miami. You make LeBron, listen, he let LeBron go crazy and shut down everybody else. Now, Jaylen Brown is not LeBron James, so this is probably going to work a little bit more effectively over a long-term experiment. So that's why, I like every team that can match up with the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics don't wow me. They never have, never will. Not with the style of play they have. Now let's get to the meat and potatoes and go out west. Listen, OKC is 52-23. Denver is 52-23. Sorry, correction. OKC is 52-22. Half a game up on the Nuggets. The Timberwolves are 51-23, a game back of first place. That's a tight race, folks. It's a tight race. And all 3 of those teams have MVP candidates. Nikola Jokic, Shea, and then you come in with Anthony Edwards. You throw in Defensive Player of the Year of Rudy Gobert. Dallas is down there at a 5 seed. You got the Pelicans at a 6. You got the Clippers at the 4. The Western Conference playoffs are going to be very impactful. The Phoenix Suns are firmly in that play-in. They can't get right. They might be able to get out of there and put the Pelicans in there. That's something that you would like to do if you're Phoenix. I don't think with the Kevin Durant, great player, generational scorer, all-time Hall of Famer, etc., etc. He's getting a little bit long in the tooth. And when you get a little bit long in the tooth, what happens is injuries. That's what happens. And I don't think it's a smart idea for the Phoenix Suns to be trying to go head up with anybody in the play-in. Because that's extra mileage, that's extra games that you just cannot afford right now. The Phoenix Suns are spiraling. They're very much spiraling. With all the firepower they have, they were supposed to be a lot further on. And with how the NBA is now set up, it's not very conducive to think that they're going to be back again. They're going to have to get rid of somebody at the end of the season because of how the NBA is set up. And so far, this has been a failed experiment. You went to the NBA Finals, you blew that roster up, and you haven't been back since. You traded DeAndre Ayton, you traded Mikal Bridges, you traded Cam Johnson, you traded everybody that got you to the NBA Finals is no longer on that team. And you went chasing waterfalls, you got Kevin Durant, you got Bradley Beal, you brought in some other players, and it's still dog shit. And I can say that because when you have 3 all-stars, 3 former all-stars, you have the 3 guys that have all led the NBA at scoring at some point in their career. You don't get exceptions. You don't get a Milwaukee Bucks pass. When they hired Frank Vogel, I asked myself, I said, why is Frank Vogel going to be the head coach of the Phoenix Suns? You can't pay Devin Booker to play defense. You can't pay Bradley Beal to play defense. Kevin Durant he's gotten better. He's gotten better defensively, but this is later in his career. Like I've always said about the Phoenix Suns, you look at the Golden State Warriors when they had Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green. When they had that squad that won an NBA championship, they had something that the Phoenix Suns do not have. They have people that were willing to sacrifice because you have to fight for your right to party. And the Phoenix Suns, ever since the old Suns in 4, We haven't seen this team do jack diddly. And I don't think that's going to change this year. So as we're looking at the NBA playoffs, we're looking at these standings. Phoenix, Sacramento, Lakers, Golden State. They're going to have to play one of these teams. And I don't like their chances in a what? Best of 3 or whatever it may be in the play-in. Don't judge me for being wrong. But regardless of the format, I still do not trust the Phoenix Suns to beat the Lakers. I don't trust the Phoenix Suns to beat the Kings. And I definitely don't. Golden State, okay. Okay? Golden State, okay. I can see Golden State is one of these teams that they're going to make the play-in. They're not, the Houston Rockets, like I've always said, they're a good cream pie. They're a good cream pie, and it's going to take a couple minutes, but they're eventually going to fall out and drizzle down your leg. And so far, that's what's going to happen. I get it. They're hot. They're 9-1 over their last 10, and they just had a really long win streak. But guess what? They still were not able to catch the Warriors. They asked the Warriors to come out and play. The Warriors have came out and played. You still can't sleep on a team like Golden State, who's won 4 games in a row. 6-4 over their last 10. You can't sleep on a team like this because they have championship pedigree. They have championship caliber. But that is the only matchup the Phoenix Suns have, in my opinion, that they can win hands down, bar none. I don't see them winning any other one of these matchups. So as we move forward, we move on from this discussion of who's coming out of the West. If you ask me right now, I have the Denver Nuggets, and this is going to sound very strange, but I think Dallas is going to be able to make some noise this year. With the acquisition of Daniel Gafford, with some of the moves they made at the deadline, with how Kyrie Irving and Luka are playing, with their playing style, if they can learn to play a little bit of defense, I'll be a lot higher on them. They don't play defense, so I can't be higher up on them. But what I can do is tell you is don't be surprised if the Dallas Mavericks and the Denver Nuggets meet in the Western Conference Finals. My dark horse, I've always said it, and you know me, I don't like the Lakers, but the Lakers are my dark horse. Any team that has the greatest player of all time, LeBron James, I will not root against that team because you can't. You cannot root against the Lakers as long as they have LeBron James. But if I'm talking a real deep dark horse, it's the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks. I could see it because the way Luka plays, the way he's being unselfish, the way he's doing what needs to be done. Like I said, if they can finally start to play a little defense, if they can finally start to give a little D with that O, they will be all right. Trust me, they will be all right. But as we move on this NBA episode, I want to talk about the rewards. The postseason, the NBA awards are coming out. Right now, the MVP, your top 3 right now are Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, Shai's been missing a couple games here and there, so he's probably effectively out of the MVP race. Shout out to Shai. Shout out to OKC. What they did this year is nothing small. It's not a small feat for such a young team. I think this Oklahoma City Thunder team are on the right path of greatness. I would love for OKC to get a chip. I would love for a place like Oklahoma City, who's been through so much, for a franchise that's been through so much, that had a superstar ripped away from them. They got nothing in return. You look at what happened with Oklahoma City and Kevin Durant, and that is the first time, I believe, in the NBA where a superstar was allowed to leave a team and that team got nothing in return. Remember, when LeBron James left the Cleveland Cavaliers for the Miami Heat, they had to do a sign and trade. Remember, when Kevin Durant left the Brooklyn Nets, they traded him. Remember, Bradley Beal was traded. You don't get to leave places as a max player and that team gets nothing. That is unheard of. Anthony Davis got something. Remember, David Stern jumped in and vetoed the CP3 trade because the NBA felt like the Lakers weren't giving enough. They later on went and traded CP3 to the Clippers for a haul. So what I'm telling you is, a team and a city like OKC that's been through so much, that's lost so much talent and they've traded away talent to try to chase these dreams, it finally looks like we can see the end result of the Sam Presti experiment. We can finally see what he was seeing. Do you see what I see? That's what we can say now. We see what you see, Sam. And I'm here to tell you, if Oklahoma City can get their hands on Zach Edey, my God, watch out. No one is scoring on that team down low. With Chet's aggression, his great shot blocking ability, you add Zach Edey, 7'5". You give Shea a automatic button because at that point you're just lobbing it up. Dunk, dunk, dunk. Shea should average a double-double next year. But enough of the glazing of the OKC Thunder and Shea. I just wanted to make sure that I took time out to congratulate that team for all that they have done this year. But he is effectively out of the MVP. So to me, it comes down to Jokic and Luka, and maybe if you want to be a Celtics fan, fine. Jason Tatum can be in there. Do I think he deserves it? No. Jason Tatum is not a top 15 player in the NBA. If you want to argue, we can argue about it. But I'm telling you right now, he's not a top 10, he's not a top 5 player. The Boston Celtics have had an easy record. The East is weak as usual. Now we see the greatness of what LeBron James was carrying the Eastern Conference. So the MVP is Jokic's to lose. And I do believe he'll get his MVP. Now, Defensive Player of the Year, we have Rudy Gobert, Victor Wembanyama, and Anthony Davis. Now, I personally would have gave it to the rookie. But I understand they're giving him Rookie of the Year, and you just don't want him taking home all of the awards. But me personally, I would have liked to see a rookie win Defensive Player of the Year because Victor Wembanyama has definitely lived up to the hype. He's definitely lived up to the defensive presence in which he was supposed to be. So the Spurs got them one. Greg Popovich got them one, and indeed they'll be in the draft lottery, in which we all know how shitty the NBA draft lottery system is. The worst team does not get the best pick. They put their names in a bingo thing, and they shake it up, and they pull out the ball of each team. The worse the team is, the more balls they get. That's how they justify it. But keep in mind, this is the same system that saw Magic Johnson end up a Laker. I don't know, folks. It's kind of a shady system. Just a little bit. So when it comes down to it, Rudy Gobert probably walk away with Defensive Player. Enough about it, so good for him. Congratulations to Rudy. I'm glad you finally got you one, my good sir. And as we move on, most improved, Tyrese Maxey, Kobe White, and Jalen Williams. I like Tyrese Maxey for this award. I think Tyrese Maxey is well-deserved. He definitely took a step forward with them losing James Harden. And you know what's crazy is, as critical as I am of the 76ers, because I'm very known of saying you couldn't win with James Harden, you couldn't win with that group, how the hell are you going to win with this group? Tyrese Maxey gave them a chance. He definitely gave you a look into the future where you say, you know what, maybe we don't have to blow it up. Because keep in mind, if Tyrese Maxey was dog shit, they would have to blow this up. Because Joel Embiid is not going to stay. You need to get what you can while you can and get out of there. You need to cash in before you crap out. And with Tyrese Maxey and the way he's been playing this year, you can definitely say well-deserved. Well-deserved, well-honored. I'm not cool with giving it to Kobe White because that team sucks. Jalen Williams, he is definitely my second place because when you look at the OKC Thunder, he was probably the most consistent other than Shea. And I know Chet was good, but Chet had games where it looked like he didn't, he kind of clocked out a little bit. Jalen Williams is going to be a two-way star in this league. And I think he should be second place for most improved. Now, this NBA Clutch Award, DeMar DeRozan, Steph Curry, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, I like DeMar. I know the Bulls aren't good. I know the Bulls are in the play-in, but DeMar DeRozan has done some shit this year that I think has gone unnoticed because he is in Chicago and because the Bulls are in the play-in. Make no bones about it. DeMar DeRozan will be on a championship team next year. I predict the Denver Nuggets somehow get DeMar DeRozan and keep this team intact. Because, like I said, I know the NBA is set up for no super teams, but if you look at the Denver Nuggets and how they're built, they only have one All-Star. So that rule doesn't really apply to them. Jamal Murray is not an All-Star. Michael Porter Jr. is not an All-Star. Neither is Aaron Gordon. All of them could be, should be, but they're not. So until then, look for the Nuggets. I look for the Nuggets to add DeMar DeRozan to keep this, especially if they can win a chip, to keep the dynasty to going. I like DeMar DeRozan for the NBA Clutch Player of the Year. Now, sixth man, I think it's over. It's Malik Monk. If you haven't watched Malik Monk hoop this year, man, you have been missing out. I watched Malik Monk have 3 points one quarter and then finish with 30. The guy is a bona fide bucket, a bona fide star. Once again, another one of those Kentucky players, another John Calipari player who got generational wealth because he went to Kentucky. I cannot wait to get on the college basketball, college segment, and that one's coming out this week. It's going to be called the State of College Basketball or the State of College Sports. Because college sports are at an all-time high, and I want to talk about it. NBA Coach of the Year, man. It's looking like it's going to go to the Oklahoma City Thunder head coach. Well deserved. That whole franchise this year has been very, very good. I mean, you can't deny it. What the Oklahoma City Thunder have done this year. You can't deny it. You can't hate on it. You can't bronze this gold. This is a damn good team. I don't believe they're going to win a championship here. Unfortunately, I don't think though. I don't think they can beat the Nuggets in 7 games. I don't think they can beat the Lakers in 7 games. But give them some more time to grow and gel, and I think that's going to change. But what's not going to change is my commitment to you. What I do every week, 3 episodes for you, the people, man. I love you. I love that you listen. I appreciate the listens. This is That Guy Jig Sports Podcast. I am him, J-I-G. Remember, the NBA playoffs are coming, folks. They're coming. Just hold on. We're going home. That's what we have to do, folks. We have to hold on. Hold on to that feeling. And I think it's going to be all great. All great, man. So once again, thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and then we can all be friends and we can all listen. We can all party and partake. Make sure that you also follow the Instagram at That Guy Jig. And once again, thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is That Guy Jig Sports Podcast, and I am him, J-I-G. Peace.